I kept an alien hidden for 3 days, and he told me why they aren't calling us. Your spirit will be shaken when you hear his answer. You'll come to a disturbing realization. It might be closer to your own heart than you think to take on the responsibility. The conspiracy theories are wrong about what he said. It's not what the government say. It goes much deeper than that. Something that will make you think about every choice you make every day. But before we go on, we have something special for you if you believe there are greater truths that are hidden from us and want to see the mysteries that go beyond what we are told. Reconnecting with Your Divine Essence is a book. It's a guide for people who are ready to awaken, see past the official stories and limiting beliefs, and get in touch with the power and wisdom that have always been inside them. You can find it in the first comment that is pinned below this video. Here's the real reason why aliens don't make direct contact. It's more disturbing than any conspiracy. To find out what it is, subscribe to the channel and press the bell. What happened to Victor Hayes in those 3 days in the North Carolina mountains will change the way you see the world, people, and maybe even your own higher purpose for all time. This is a trip into the unknown and into faith that is stronger. Click the bell and subscribe if you are ready to learn more about the mysteries of God and your own spiritual path. If you stick with this journey, you won't miss a surprise that could be meant just for you. Let me now tell you how it all began. Vic Hayes heard the helicopters from the porch of his cabin in the mountains near Asheville, 3 of them, far away. In a planned search pattern, their searchlights cut through the night. He was 52 years old, a history teacher who has retired. Having taught for 28 years, he got tired of it at age 49, split up for 7 years. His grown daughter didn't talk to him much. Victor had been living alone in that cabin for 3 years, a choice made on purpose, away from people, away from being disappointed. A man who lives in a wilderness he has made for himself because he has lost faith in people. He looked at the helicopters with some interest, military, based on how they look, wanting to find something. He probably thought it was drugs. In the mountains, there is a secret plantation. When he heard it, he was about to go inside. There's a noise outside. There is movement in the trees. Vic got a flashlight and came down from the porch. His heart beat a little faster and lighter. It wasn't out of fear, but out of care. He shone the light and asked, "Who's there?" Nothing, but there was something for sure. He could hear gasping, irregular breathing. He took a few more steps and then he saw it. Someone was trying to hide by hunching over a pile of firewood, but the shape wasn't right. "Get out of there!" Victor yelled. The figure moved slowly. It got higher. Victor saw it in the beam of the flashlight. It wasn't a person. It has grayish skin, a big head that doesn't fit right, and long, thin arms and legs. And its eyes were huge, black as night, and reflected his flashlight like mirrors. The flashlight was dropped by Victor. It rolled on the ground, and the light went all over the place. You're not. The helicopters were getting closer. The noise was getting stronger. More and more searchlights were shining on the area. It looked at Victor, then up at the sky, and then back down at Victor. The message was clear even without words. "They want to find me. Please." Victor stood still as his mind tried to make sense of what was happening. Each and every nerve cell said, "This can't be real." It was, though. It was right there. A real person, shaking with fear and tiredness. It was now less than a kilometer between them and them. Victor made a choice at that very moment. It wasn't planned. It didn't make sense. It was a sudden, unfathomable act of mercy, an impulse from his heart. Basement, he pointed out. Right away, through the kitchen's trap door. The thing only hesitated for a second. Then it came after. He led it into the cabin through the kitchen and opened the floor trap door. The damp, small basement with stairs was where he kept his tools and other things. "Get down! Don't talk! Do not make any noise!" The thing came down. He shut the trap door and put a rug over it. After 30 seconds, a spotlight lit up the windows of the cabin. There was a loud knock on the door. Victor took it out. 2 soldiers with serious faces and uniforms without any decorations. "Good evening, sir. Operation to keep the area safe. Have you seen anything strange? Weird lights? Movement that seems odd?" "No." Victor lied so easily it was funny. "I heard the helicopters, but I didn't see anything." "Can we verify the property? Do you have a warrant?" A tense silence. The soldier looked at Victor. Victor kept his eyes on it. "No, sir. But working together would be great." "Then no. Good night." Victor shut the door. His heart was beating fast because the adrenaline was finally starting to work. "What did I do? I told the army lies. I hid." He couldn't even make the word. "I hid it." He held out. He heard the helicopters going around for 20 minutes more. But then, slowly, the sound went somewhere else. Victor waited for another half hour to make sure they were gone for good. After that, he opened the trap door. The thing sat on the floor of the basement and looked up. Those eyes that couldn't be real were on him. Victor told the thing, "They're gone," but he wasn't sure if it got it. "For now." The creature nodded, which looked a lot like a human action. "Do you understand what I'm saying?" One more nod. "Can you talk?" The small, lipless mouth of the thing opened, but nothing came out. It shook its head after that. Okay. He went down the stairs. He stayed away and sat on an old box. "So, what are you? Where did you come from? Why are the police looking for you?" The thing just stared. Not a response. "All right, this is going to be hard to communicate." Vic looked at his grey hair with his hand. He taught history for almost 30 years. He taught about civilizations from long ago, wars and revolutions. It seemed like something he had read about. But nothing had been ready for this. He looked at what looked like the creature's side and asked, "Are you hurt?" It touched its chest and made a face, or what Victor thought was a face. "Wait. I'm going to get the first aid kit. And water. Do you drink water?" Victor saw the creature's movement as a "yes, please" sign. Vic looked back one last time as he went up the stairs. A strange being. In the basement, his life of being alone by choice had just gotten a lot more difficult. He also felt something other than cynicism and resignation for the first time in 3 years. He could feel something move. Not just an interest, but a strong, burning desire to understand. What are you? Where are you from? What do you know? And those questions would be answered over the next 3 days. Victor got answers that would make him question everything he thought he knew about people and himself. Victor's world and sense of being alone were broken when someone he didn't expect showed up. A lot of us feel alone and are waiting for a sign. If you believe that God, in his infinite mystery, can send messengers in any form, even from the stars, to awaken a searching soul, comment, "I am open to my divine assignment." Someone else could find the sign they need today in what you say. Vic went back down to the basement and got an old blanket, a first aid kit, and a bottle of water. The thing was exactly where he had left it, not moving. Just those big eyes watching everything he does. "Okay." Vic slowly went down the stairs. "I'm not sure what to do. I've never taken care of whatever you are. I will try, though. He moved slowly toward her. The thing didn't run away. It did nothing but watch. Victor showed where the dark spots were on its chest. Can I see? The thing hesitated. Then it raised what looked like an arm, letting him get in. Victor looked at it. It wasn't blood. It was a darker, thicker liquid. It looked like a burn or a cut. It's hard to say what an alien body is like. With care, he cleaned it with gauze. The thing shook, but it didn't fight back. This is going to burn. Victor used an antiseptic. The thing that was there made a sound. Not a voice, but a low vibration that Victor could feel in his chest. Sorry. Almost done. He used clean gauze to cover the wound and taped it down. Made up on the spot. But it works. Water. Victor gave me the bottle. The thing took it and drank. Its 3 long fingers held the bottle with surprising care. Small sips, as if to see how it tastes. Victor stayed out of the way by sitting on the toolbox. Okay, how long do you want to stay? How many hours? Days. The thing put its fingers up. 1, 2, 3. 3 days? It confirmed with a nod. He put his hand over his face. 3 days. Okay, I can do 3 days. He checked out the basement. It's small, damp, and full of old boxes and rusty tools. It's not the best, but it's not easy to find. The army has already checked out the area. They most likely won't be back for a while. The thing bowed its head in a strange, almost thankful way. Are you hungry? I have a sandwich. I have no idea what your species eats. Corned beef. It was a bad move by the creature. Then just water. Okay. A strange lack of sound. Vic knew he was in the basement with an alien, but he didn't know what to say. He was a teacher for 28 years and always knew what to say. However, in the end, he pointed to himself. Victor. The thing looked. It then put its hand on its chest. Vic heard Zell, but not with his ears. He heard it in his mind, like a thought that wasn't his own. Victor was about to fall off the box. You're on my mind. I'm sorry. That's the only way. In your world, my voice doesn't work. Your thoughts, on the other hand, are clear, telepathic. Yes. Why not? Victor laughed in a nervous way. All right, Zell. Your name is Zell. What country did you come from? A long way away. Something you don't know how to name yet. How far, based on our measurements? About 40 light years away. Victor thought about that. 40. It took you 40 light years to get here. It doesn't take 40 years. A ship folds up space. But yes, that is how far it is. And you fell. Why do they join the military? I didn't crash. I got shot down. Victor took a step. The military deliberately shot you down? Yes, they found my ship. They shot. There was damage to the defense system. I had to land quickly because of an emergency. Why would they attack you without? Victor put down. Since he knew the reason. He did, of course. He taught history. He talked about being afraid of what you don't know, concerning how civilizations respond to threats that are perceived. He thought to himself, shoot first, ask questions later. Yes, Zell answered the thought that wasn't said. Can you read everything in my mind? Not everything. Just what you send out the strongest. Think about the surface. Strong feelings. Great. No privacy in your mind. Victor took a seat once more. Now what? What do you do after 3 days? The ship fixes some of its own problems. Enough to call for help. Then you leave. My people will come for me. I will always remember these 3 crazy days as the craziest of my life. Yes. Unless what? Unless you want to know more. You want to know more. I have 3 days. I also owe you. Whatever it was, knew about his spiritual hunger. Vic looked at this strange being in his basement. He almost said no, but he didn't, to stay away from her, to do nothing but wait 3 days. But another part, the part that had been a teacher and lived to learn, was yelling with excitement. He kept asking, questions. About what? Anything ourselves, the whole universe. I'll answer what I can. Victor had an idea. How do I even begin? It made him wonder a lot. All right, first, why are you here? You and your species. Why do you come to Earth? Study and observation. Your species is going through an interesting time. Interesting how? A turning point. You have the choice to evolve or destroy yourself. The outcome is still not clear. Victor got a chill. What do you think? What will happen? Will we evolve or blow everything up? We don't know. That's why we watch. 80. How many of you are watching? A lot. From a variety of civilizations. The world you live in is an interesting case. Victor laughed without meaning to. We're a cosmic laboratory experiment. It's not an experiment, just a thought. No messing around. Just pay attention. No messing around? But you show up. Ships and sightings? Is that not interference? Not a direct problem. We don't change how your events go. We only watch. Vic leaned against the cold wall of the basement. What do you see when you look? How do you feel about us? Zell didn't say anything for a moment. Vic then thought of the word confusion. Huge possibilities. Lost, though. You are aware of what you should do, but choose not to. What do we need to do? Love. Work together. Come together. The things that your best teachers have told you. But humanity? You pick the other side. Separate. To get ahead. To damage. Victor could feel his chest getting tight, since it was true. He had taught this for many years, the patterns from the past that keep happening. People didn't pay attention to the signs, so civilizations fell. I taught about this, he said in a low voice, for 28 years. Denial by everyone. The things that people don't want to see in society. What makes it fall apart? And? Zell had a soft thought. And no one learned. No one was eager to learn. For them, it was a grade and a diploma. It wasn't wisdom. So you quit teaching? Victor looked at the work on his hands. Hands that had used chalk for almost 30 years. That was written on a lot of chalkboards. Because I'm tired. It's getting old to talk to walls of seeing kids study for tests and then forget everything. To understand that history doesn't teach. It happens over and over again. You lost faith. It wasn't a question, it was a sentence. It hurt too. Yes, Victor said. I gave up. It's mountain time for me. Away from people. Do not think about the disappointment. Did that make it better? You're hurt. How upset you are. How you feel like you failed. Victor didn't say anything. Since it hadn't. It didn't fix anything. He had just hid it. What is this? Alien confession? He meant to make fun of her. But it came out mean. I only watch. People do this. You put up walls when you are wounded in spirit. To be alone is not a fortress as you think. It is only a prison. It only stops the pain from moving. And you? That's not something your kind does, right? Yes, we did. A long time ago. As a society, when we were young. We learned, though. What did you learn? Isolation does not mean safety. It's like jail time. Victor felt sick when he heard those words. He knew all along. Not until he heard them from an alien in his damp basement who could read minds. Vic said, 3 days, changing the subject on purpose. We have 3 days to get help. Why did it take so long? The radio transmitter needs to be fixed. Parts that are broken. It needs time. May I assist you? Can you explain what warp drives and quantum communication are? No. Then, no. You can, however. Keep me company. Talk. Do what you need to do. A light smile from Victor, an alien who is lonely and wants to be with other people. Funny. I'm not by myself, just trapped. Short term. Vic said, "Welcome to the club," and he got up. "Make yourself as comfortable as you can. Thanks that they hid me. Thanks for not giving me away." "I don't know why I did it," Victor said. "Maybe gut feeling, or just because, or..." He paused. "Or maybe I was just tired of watching life go by and wanted to be part of something. Then, thanks for taking part." Victor saw something as he went up the stairs, leaving Zell in the basement. He had been isolating himself for 3 years, but now he didn't feel alone. Funny. A being from the stars had to help him remember his faith. Vic woke up early the next day, made coffee, and brought an extra cup down to the basement. "Good morning." He got down from the stairs. "I brought coffee. I'm not sure if you're kind." Zell had something going on. There were many small parts lying around on the floor. Victor didn't know how to use the tools that seemed to appear out of nowhere. "Hey Victor, good morning, thanks, but I don't drink it. The caffeine is making me sick. Thanks for the info." "Don't give the alien coffee." Victor took a seat. "What are you doing?" "Getting the transmitter fixed." "The process is slow, but it's moving forward." Victor watched as Zell's hands, or what looked like hands, moved the parts with an accuracy that seemed impossible. There were long fingers moving in ways that almost looked like a dance. "How much have you fixed?" "About 40%. And then they come and get you by tomorrow night. It should work." "Okay, that's it. The end of the story." "Yes." Vic drank his coffee alone for a while. After that, "Can I ask more questions?" "Of course, that's why I gave you the time." "All right. You said yesterday that many civilizations look at Earth. To be exact, how many?" "It's tough to give a precise number, but tens right away." "A lot in a roundabout way." "Hundreds?" Victor was almost going to spill his coffee. "Hundreds of alien civilizations know about us." "Yes, Earth is known, even well known. You could say, watched by a great cloud of witnesses. Famous for what? For being a puzzle, a species made in a high image that is capable of divine love, but also of unimaginable destruction." Heaved a sigh. "So what are we? Reality TV in space?" "Not at all. It's more like a case study. What happens when a species gains strength before it gains knowledge? Knowing something without understanding it? That's depressing." "It's the truth. But it won't last forever. Things can change. You are making a different choice." As a group, Victor remembered how he had taught history for many years and tried to help his students see the patterns and make different choices. "I did that. It didn't work." "Because you did it by yourself. To really change, you have to change your heart. A critical mass. How many? Before something changes, how many people must choose differently? It's not a set number, it's a moment. The tipping point is reached when enough people awaken at the same time." "And are we close to that point?" Zell took a break from his work. Vic looked at him. "Yes. Also, no. The potential is there. There is also a huge amount of resistance, a hardness of heart. Who is the resistance from? For governments? For corporations? Also from them. Most of the time, though, from regular people. From you. From me? When I was younger? What is resistance to? Uncomfortable truth. What a scary change. Free will carries a heavy responsibility." Victor could feel something get tighter. "You're talking about denial." Yes. Your job as a teacher, right?" "Yes, it was. I taught about civilizations that didn't see the signs that they were falling apart. The Mayans, the Romans, and the people of Easter Island all had their own prophets who told them what to do, Eyes they have, but they do not see, they all said, even though they saw the signs, until it was too late. And your current civilization? Victor laughed a mean laugh. Doing the same thing again. There is polarization, climate change, and inequality. There are signs all over. But most of them say no or don't care. Why? Why? Victor said it again. Because it is simpler. Because it's hard to change. Because the way to change is short, and the way to refuse to change is long. Admitting the issue necessitates that you pick up your own cross and act right on. That's also true for other things. Victor stopped and thought that the tone might have been telepathic. Other things like what? Zell went back to work. Maybe tomorrow, as soon as the transmitter is almost ready, when you're ready. Ready for what? To hear the truth, which can be weird. Victor became very interested. What about? What about you? Getting in touch? Yes, tell me now. Not at all. You're not ready yet. How do you know I'm not ready? Since you're still mad. It's hard to listen when you're angry. It makes it hard to understand. It makes the heart close. Victor began to say no, but stopped himself. Since Zell was right, there was anger. Deep, old anger. At kids who didn't learn. When things didn't change. At a world where people kept making the same mistakes. I'm working on my anger, he said in a defensive way. I understand. It is moving forward. So, I hope. One more day, heaved a sigh. You're a frustrating alien. This comes up a lot. From other people I have seen. You've seen other people? How many people are aware of you, really know? More than what your governments say. Not as much as your conspiracy theories say. That's not an answer. That is a truthful answer. That number changes. Some people know and say something. A lot of people don't believe them. Some people know, but they don't say anything, due to fear or choice. What about me? What should I do with this after you leave? Do what you want. Talk. Do not speak why not. No one will believe you anyway. They don't want to believe it. They feel safer when they think they are the only ones in the universe. Not as scary. Victor took some time to think, so even if I tell them, even in detail, people will deny it. Most of them will. Some people might listen. Even less people will believe. Not many people will change how they act because of it. So what's the point? The point is for you to be the sower, Victor. You are supposed to plant the seed. No matter if the seed falls on rocky ground or good soil, you have no control over the harvest. It's just planted. With good faith, this is a powerful reminder of our spiritual calling. As faithfully as we plant the seeds of truth and love, we are the only ones responsible for the harvest. Comment, I plant my seeds in faith, to remind yourself of your commitment to being a sower in a world that needs light. Take a look at our community to see how many people are ready to sow. Victor remembered something he told himself to make himself feel better about retiring. Nobody learned. But what if some did? He planted seeds, but what if they were still there, dormant, waiting for the right time? You make me think, Victor said. Okay, to change, you must first think. Step 2 is to feel. The third step is to do something. That is how it usually goes. Victor drank all of his cold coffee. You said that your society was young once, just like ours. What changed? Is that how you evolved? A great test. We almost lost everything because of this huge crisis. We were brought down to our knees. Then, we made a different choice, all of us together. So it takes a disaster for things to change. It doesn't need to be. Often, though, it is the fire that makes things better. Great pain makes the need to change more clear than the lie's comfort. That's sad. It's the norm. Species evolve under pressure all over the galaxy. What about us? People. Do we have enough stress? Yes, but you still refuse to do anything and say no. How long? When will it be too late? Zell stopped all the way. His eyes were impossible to believe because they could see everything I'm not sure. No one knows. But the window is getting smaller. Victor's chest felt heavy. What else can we do? On their own, wake up. Pick the truth over what's easy. Choose love over fear. Connection is better than being alone. And collectively? The same things, but on a large scale. What if we don't? You'll end up like a lot of other people. One more species that was smart, but didn't evolve in time. 80? How many didn't make it? A lot. Too many to count. The basement was very quiet. Victor looked at the alien while he worked on the radio. A person from a civilization that built it. That did evolve. Could you help us? Will you step in if we're failing? We can't. It's the law. Each species has to pick its own way, its very own salvation. But you watch. Yes. We keep an eye on. We're waiting. Our hope is. And if we fail, you just watch. Yes. Too bad. But yes. Vic felt his anger grow again. That's cruel. It's an honor to have free will, for freedom. Victor, we are not here to save you. We saw it happen. And tomorrow, what are you going to say to me tomorrow that is so upsetting? The big reveal. What the truth is about why we don't talk to each other. Why we don't land on the White House lawn, as you say. You'll understand why the anger has to go first once you know Victor really wanted to know the answer right away. But something about Zell's body language said, "Not yet. Be patient." Okay. Victor took a step. Tomorrow then. Victor realized he wasn't as angry as he was yesterday as he went upstairs and left Zell to work. Not as cynical. More interesting. More hopeful. Everything he had taught him in 28 years had failed to teach the alien in his basement. His desire to believe in change and redemption grew. Vic didn't sleep well on the third day. Everything Zell had said was making him crazy. The real reason we don't talk to each other. People who believe in conspiracies said that the government hides it, the fear of panic, taking charge of information. But Zell had said something else, in a hint. There is something more disturbing. At 6:02 a.m., Victor went down to the basement. Zell was awake. He might not have slept at all. He had the transmitter in his hands. "Hey Victor, good morning. You didn't sleep well. It wasn't a question. Can you feel my sleep? I can relate to your stress. A restless mind sends strong signals." Victor took a seat. "I couldn't stop thinking about what you're going to tell me today." "Okay. It means that your mind is getting ready. Or driving me crazy with curiosity." Zell made that sound again. The low, musical vibration that Victor knew was alien happiness. That also works. Victor looked at what Zell did. Now the transmitter looked different, like it was more whole. It had a faint glow. "It's almost ready." Yes. I can send the message tonight, as promised. Help will be on its way tomorrow morning. This is the last real talk we'll have." Yes. There was something off about Victor. A sadness for an alien he had only met 3 days before. "I will miss you." Is that a weird thing to say? "Victor, I will miss you too. You're interesting." Interesting how? That's just like you. Smart, but they're not admitting it. Compassionate, but alone. Feeling let down, but still hopeful. Deep down. You do psychological analysis too? I notice. That's what I do. Hugh took a deep breath. "All right, I'm ready. Explain." Why don't you talk to them over? You could just land at the White House or the UN and say, "We're here." Zell stopped doing its job. He turned all the way around to face Victor. "Since we've already tried." Victor took a blink. "What?" "Several times, in various decades, by taking different approaches. All of them failed." "How? When? Why don't I know about this?" "You know you just didn't make the connections. Or you did, but you believed the official story." "Give me examples." 1952, Washington, D.C., ships flying over your capital, seen by a lot of people, recorded, taken a picture. Victor thought back. The lights in Washington. I taught them that. The government said it was because of temperature inversions. That's like it. They weren't, it was us. We're trying to be present without being scary. What was the result? Scared. It was denied by the government. The media made fun of it. And the people accepted the denial because telling the truth was too painful. Vic felt something cold go through his body. "You were really there?" "Yes. And other times." Roswell, 1947. A real ship. Real people. They were found by your government. "Yes, I understand. The ideas about Roswell are well known. These are not ideas. These are facts. But look at what went on. It was denied by the government. They made up a story about a balloon in the sky. And the majority agreed with it. Many didn't, though. Conspiracies have been around for a long time." "Yes. What did those people get done?" Vic took a moment. "They were made fun of. On the outside. Known as false prophets. Getting rid of." "Yes, exactly. There was no better reason than to avoid facing the truth. But the government hid it. That's what they did." "Yes, but why? To stay in charge? So as not to panic?" "Yes. Also to give people exactly what they asked for." "What?" "Denying." Victor was quiet and thinking. Winner. Try to think like a teacher. If your government really wanted to hide it, they would have gotten rid of all the proof, keeping all witnesses quiet. They didn't, though. They did some things. Not all of them. As long as the cover-up is good enough. It only needs to be easy. It gives people who need to believe the lie a good reason, a doctrine, to do so. Wait. Victor took a step. Are you saying that people want it to be hidden? Not consciously? That's what their hearts want? Yes. That doesn't make sense. Try to think like a teacher. What happens when you tell your students something they don't want to hear? Victor had an idea. They fight back. They say no. And what happens when you give them a convenient explanation, even if it's not true? They agree with it. Simple. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Now, use this on a planet-wide level. Victor slowly sat down. In his mind, he was putting together pieces that he had been avoiding seeing for decades. Are you saying that governments cover it up because the population subconsciously asks them to? Yes. By the choices they made, the votes they cast, the media they watch, how they reacted to the news. What happens when someone tries to tell the alien truth? Victor said, they're made fun of. Public trust in them goes away. Their work life, their good name. Who does this? Just the government? Not at all. The news? People. Normal people. Making fun of. Yes, exactly. People who speak the uncomfortable truth are put to death in your society. It gives rewards to people who keep up the comfortable lie. But a lot of people want to know. There is a protest for disclosure. They seek the truth, they say. They pray for truth to come to them. What do they do, though, when the proof, the sign, shows up? Some believe. And the vast majority? The people who decide what will happen in your society? Victor had an honest thought. They don't care, or they believe what the government says, or they make fun of the sign they asked for. Yes, you have to change if you want to really know something. You have to be born again. Your whole view of the world, your priorities, and your life need to change. And that change is very scary. He put his hands on his head. Okay, you're telling us that you don't make direct contact because you don't want to. We don't want it at all, deep down. Most people don't. Not in your mind. But why? We want to know the truth about life in the universe, so why wouldn't we? Because it means you're not unique, not the only thing made, not the most important thing in the world. This is because it means the universe is bigger and more complicated than what you believe. As a species, you must evolve and come together, which means letting go of your old, safe beliefs. Victor didn't say anything because he felt every word. What about the governments? Why the churches? The news? Are they a part of this? Yes, but not as bad schemers, as providers of demand. The government hides what's going on because people vote for leaders who promise normalcy. When a church teaches the hard, complicated mysteries of faith, people leave it, grows for a church that promises clear answers, good versus evil, and salvation for everyone. Why? Because people want comfort, not the truth, which is difficult and transformative. Every institution only does what the people want it to do, be it consciously or not. Victor could feel his world falling apart and putting itself back together in a new way. So, it's not their fault that they're in charge. It's ours. Everyone. Vic, it's not your fault. Trust is responsibility. There's a big difference. Fear stops you. Take responsibility. Taking responsibility is the first step toward redemption. Because the answer is also ours, through grace, if the problem is ours. This truth is both the hardest and the most empowering part of the whole story. That's not them who have power. We do. It's a call to stop blaming the dark and turn into the light. Declare your commitment by commenting, "I choose truth over comfort." If this message has awakened you to your own divine responsibility to choose truth, even when it is uncomfortable, your statement is a strong vote for change for everyone. Vic looked at Zell, an alien who had completely changed his view of the world in just 3 days. Then what do we do? How can this be changed? People are the first to change. After that comes the collective. How do they change? By choosing the truth over what is easy. Do this by examining your own heart, by no longer blaming them, and instead asking, "What am I denying?" Victor took time to think about his own life, his choice to be alone. He stopped being a teacher. I turned down my own calling. I told myself I couldn't still make a difference. Yes, when enough people stop denying, you'll be ready for real contact open. Since there won't be any need for one, there will be no cover-up. How long? I'm not sure. It might take years, for generations, or it might be quick if the time is right. Victor sat there and thought about everything. The most scary discovery wasn't that aliens existed. The problem was that they were always here, trying to get in touch. But people chose not to see them. It was very quiet for a very long time. Zell went back to work on the transmitter, which gave him time to think. Victor finally spoke up. So, it's not just the government hiding things when someone sees a UFO and is made fun of, when a witness is discredited, or when evidence is explained away as a weather balloon, Venus, or an optical illusion. Society as a whole is working together to deny it. Because it is simpler. Yes, what you do is your vote. Pay attention to this. the choices you make every day. We vote? Yes. Every click, every vote for office, each and every talk, every choice to believe or not believe. If you keep watching news that makes fun of sightings, you're voting for more of it. If you vote for a politician who says things will get back to normal, you're voting for denial. People who go to churches that give them easy answers instead of seeking the truth are voting for limits. Victor put down. So you're saying there are no bad guys? There isn't a big, bad plot. There is lying. There is trickery going on. Power is something that people want to keep. But it only works because most people let it. Because most people would rather avoid the uncomfortable truth, they prefer to live in comfort. And what if most of the people changed? What if most people really wanted the truth? Then there would be no way to hide what happened. Since institutions follow what people want, a politician who tries to hide the truth would lose an election to one who tells the truth. People would leave a church that limits to join one that grows. Media that makes fun of things would lose viewers to those that take them seriously. But that requires millions to change. Not all at once, over time, at least until the critical mass is reached. Also, it's getting closer. Getting awakened speeds up the process for everyone. Awakening from what? It comes from denying it, because of their own complicity, through one's own responsibility. You awaken when you stop blaming them, the government, and the elite. Instead, you ask yourself, how am I denying the truth? You vote for change when you tell the truth, even if it makes you feel bad. You can help evolution happen when you question what you think you know for sure. Vic used his hands to wipe his face. Why is that so hard to hear? The victim narrative is destroyed, and I was an accomplice. It is much more comfortable to be the victim of a conspiracy than to admit your own complicity. When I deny it, in my alone time, by giving up. Yes, but the past doesn't tell us what will happen in the future. You have the opportunity to choose differently, right now. Like coming back, not to being alone, but to taking part. Not when you're maud. Of course, with compassion. Not to blame. That is, when teaching. Teach what? What you've always taught. The ways people deny things. But now, show what we're denying now altogether. On their own. Victor had an idea. What if they inquire about aliens? What about you? It doesn't matter if you tell them or not. They're not going to believe it anyway. It could, however, plant the seeds. What they asked. Why does this seem so unlikely? If it were true, what would we lose? How does our refusal to believe protect us? How does it hold us back? Philosophy instead of facts. Facts don't usually change people's minds. Questions frequently change people's minds. Victor kept quiet and took it all in. So, the message is, the ball is in our court. It's always been that way. You don't talk to us because we're not ready. We're not ready because we don't want to be. Right on. We'll show up when you're ready. Not because you want to hide, but because there will be no reason to do so. He got up and went over to where Zell was working. He looked at the transmitter that was almost done. When you're gone, and I'm left here with all this, what do I do? What you pick. You can shut yourself off again and blame everyone else. You can also take part, grow seeds, take a look at your own denials, and help other people think about theirs. What if I fail? What if no one pays attention? Even so, you will have been more honest than before. That is always true. David put out his hand. A person's move. Zell took a look at it, and then put out his own, Victor's. 5 was touched by 3 long fingers. Vic said, "Thank you, for not believing what I said." I appreciate you demonstrating my responsibility. Also thanks, Victor, that they hid me. For hearing, due to wanting to awaken. I hope so, because this will change everything for me. But you are the one who can make the change. Not on me. When Victor and the alien shook hands in the damp basement, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not anger. No. Not cynicism. Not giving up. He had a purpose. Held over true. The most upsetting discovery wasn't about a plot by the government. Our shared complicity was at issue. Our choice of denial. We didn't take responsibility. In a strange way, this was more hopeful than any conspiracy. Since the problem was theirs, he couldn't change how it was fixed. But if the problem was ours, then the answer was also ours. Zell worked on the transmitter in the basement that night, while Victor sat on the porch. Millions of bright points of light made up the sky. Victor now knew. Not nothing was in his eyes. He looked around his neighborhood, a huge number of civilizations, looking at waiting, hopeful, wishing people would stop denying and start seeing. It was around midnight when he felt the telepathic presence. It's done. The message is sent. They'll get there. At dawn, Victor went down one last time to the basement. As Zell stood there, the transmitter gave off a soft glow and a pulse that Victor felt more than heard. All right. That's it. The end of the 3 strangest days of my life, and the start of something fresh. I'm thinking, Victor said as he leaned against the wall, about what you said. About going back. Again, I'm teaching, and I'm scared, don't want to fail again, of getting burned out again. A real fear. Fear shouldn't stop you from trying, though. Simple for you to say. It's not my species has fears too. We also fail. The difference is that we learned to keep going, even though we were scared. The king smiled. You'd make a good teacher. I watch things happen. Not the same, but related. A calm and peaceful silence. Vic then asked, will I see you again? One day. Not likely, but possible. That's how strange the universe is. Suppose people evolve. If we do reach that critical mass, what then? Will you be there when we talk to each other? Maybe. If I'm still alive. If I am given the job, but someone like me will be. We said we would watch until the end. The conclusion being evolution or extinction. That's what we hope for. Victor remembered how he had taught the history of long-gone civilizations for many years. People from Easter Island, the Mayans, and Rome. It was too late for them to believe the signs. We can do it differently, he told himself most of the time. We have to do it differently. Yes. And it starts with each person, like you, making a different choice. Then there's no pressure, Victor said with a nervous laugh. You're not the only one. The awakening of millions of people has already begun. Being curious, picking the truth. You're the next one. But everyone is important. It seemed impossible to Victor, but Zell had changed everything in just 3 days. I'm going to call my daughter. Nice. Talk to her. Talk. For the first time in many years, even better. Also, I'm going to look into volunteering, inside the library or the neighborhood center. Again, I'm teaching, not at school, but I teach. Why the change, Victor? Zell had a soft thought. Since you were right, I shut myself off. I told myself I couldn't still make a difference. And that was my own lie. My own secret cover-up. Right on. You might be able to help other people change their denials if you can change yours. One soul at a time. That's how the critical mass is made. A light started to show up outside. Not the sun rising. It was not the same. Bluish. Soft. They've arrived. Victor could feel his chest getting tight. Already? Yes. I need to leave. For the last time, they went upstairs together, through the kitchen, into the backyard. Something was there. Not really a ship. It feels more like the air is warped. It looked like space itself was folding. Victor's eyes kept wandering away from it, so he couldn't concentrate. The tech we use. The human mind has a hard time processing it. I understand. Victor didn't get it, but he agreed. For the last time, Zell looked at him. Hi, Victor Hayes. Thanks. That they hid me. For hearing. For getting up, thank you, Zell. For everything. For breaking my lies. Because you showed me I could still make a difference. You could always. For a while, you just lost faith. I'll remember now. Okay. Zell started to walk toward the change on the screen. He stopped. He turned around. Winner. One last thing. Yes? Remember the parable when you teach again, or plant those seeds. Not every seed will grow. Some take yours, decades, for generations. That doesn't mean the work was useless, though. It simply means that the divine process includes both faith and patience. Victor was moved to cry. I'll remember. Remember me when you doubt yourself or feel like nothing is changing. Keep in mind that someone from a society that did evolve thinks you can do it too. I will. I will remember. Zell then disappeared into the mess. As soon as it touched the ground, it started to shrink and fall apart. It was gone in a matter of seconds. There were only stars in the sky. He stood in the yard for a very long time. Now the sun was really beginning to rise. After that, he went inside. He called the number. He looked at a phone number he hadn't called in a long time. Sarah, his daughter. He dialed with shaking fingers. Hello? A sleepy voice that sounded shocked. Sarah, it's Dad. I understand it's early, but may I call you later? To talk. To really talk. Stillness. Then, Dad, are you okay? I am, Victor told me. I am, for the first time in a long time. I also want to make things better. If you let me. A long pause. Victor was about to give up. After that, all right. Yes, please call me at 2 p.m. I'll be free. I'll call. I promise. All right. You sound different. What took place? Victor looked out the window at the sky, where the impossible ship had been just moments before. I had an encounter. I began to see things differently thanks to a messenger. A visitor. It's a long story. I'll tell you later. I only want to hear about you today. About your life. The things I missed by being alone. All right, Dad. Okay. I'll talk to you at 2. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for giving me a chance. I love you, Dad. David shut his eyes. When did he last hear that? I love you too, sweetheart. Have a nice day. He put the phones down. He was sitting at the table in the kitchen. It was cold in his coffee. The room was bright with sunlight. Vic Hayes didn't feel alone for the first time in 3 years. Not because someone else was there. However, he did so with a purpose. Get back in touch with his daughter. Go back to teaching. Plant the seeds of questions. He was not going to save the world. He wasn't going to change everything by himself. But it was his job, his responsibility, his choice. He now knew that choice was the start of everything, the ending and the message. After 2 weeks, Victor met with the person in charge of community programs at the Asheville Public Library. So you want to volunteer? A woman in her 60s named Margaret looked at his profile. Past history teacher. We have 28 years of experience. Yes. What did I think? Maybe a discussion group, history-wise. But not typical. Non-traditional how? Victor was unsure. What can I say to not sound crazy? Look for patterns. The signs of trouble have been ignored by civilizations, and link it to the present. If you ask, what are we denying now, individually and as a group? Margaret gave a slight brow raise. Interesting. About half history and half philosophy. Exactly. And you think people will come to be challenged like that? Victor had an idea about Zell 3 days that changed everything. I'm not sure. Perhaps not. I have to try, though. Put down a seed. Even if it doesn't grow right away. Margaret gave a grin. I like that. All right, Professor. On Wednesday nights, you can use Room B, 2 hours. Watch how many people show up. 7 people showed up to that first meeting. There weren't many people there, but it was the start. Good evening, everyone, Victor said. This group isn't like other history clubs. I'm not going to make you remember dates. I'm going to ask questions that make you feel bad, and we'll look into them together. The first question. On the board, he wrote, what do we refuse to do? Victor was getting ready for a new session a year after meeting Zell when he got an email. It came from a student from 15 years ago. Hey, Professor Hayes, I am not sure if you remember me. In 2010, I was in your class. You discussed collective denial, which is the process by which civilizations ignore warning signs. I only learned it by heart for the test and then forgot it. But something was still there. A seed that the Lord put down. And recently, with everything going on in the world, I remembered. Also, I got it. Now I'm making a difference, small and close by, but real. Marcus said, thank you for planting that seed, even though it took 15 years for it to grow. Victor read the email 3 times, and his eyes were wet with tears. Zell was right. Not all seeds grow. Some take decades or years. That doesn't mean the work wasn't worth it, though. It wasn't to see the harvest. It was about putting things down. The courageous act of faith. Putting faith in the process, because it takes time to make real, important changes. One person, one choice, one seed at a time. The last message to viewers. We are faced with a truth more disturbing than any conspiracy in the story of Victor Hayes. It's not their fault. It's ours. Aliens don't make direct contact with us because we don't want them to. It's not that the government hides it or that they are afraid of us. At some level, deep down, we pick the comforting illusion over the harsh but salvific truth. Because being unaware is scarier than being changed. This is true for everyone, not just aliens. It's true for everything. Change in climate. We can see the signs. We deny it because we would have to change if we admitted it. Being unequal. You can see the numbers. We say no because we have to make a sacrifice to do something. Corruption. We can see the proof. We say no because it feels bad to question the system one pattern after another. So we say, them, the government, the elite, and so on. The truth is that these institutions only give us what we ask for by the choices we make every day. Every vote for a politician who says things will get back to normal is a vote to put things off. Every time you click on sensational news instead of a serious investigation, you choose fun over truth. It's not a plot by a few bad people. Many people's complicity in this is unconscious, in a strange way. That's the good news. Why? Because we wouldn't be able to control the solution if it were their problem. However, if the problem is ours, then the answer is also within our reach. We have the ability to change, turn around, and feel renewed. Everyone who stops blaming them and thinks, "How am I denying the truth?" A person awakening in that situation. Someone votes for evolution every time they choose real discomfort over the comfort of ignorance. Victor was not found. For 3 years he was in his own wilderness, blaming everyone else and rejecting his true calling. He had to be woken up by an impossible messenger. There shouldn't be an alien in your basement, though. You only need a moment of brutal, prayerful honesty. What do I not believe? In what ways do I pick comfort over truth? Isolation rather than participation? Don't want to take responsibility? It doesn't need to be crazy. That person is a distant relative. Help out in your area. Think about what you believe. Pick serious media over entertainment that tries to shock you. Don't vote based on empty promises, but on real policies. The critical mass is made up of all of these small choices that are made every day. We might not have to hide from aliens when we get there, because people won't need to hide anymore. But even if that doesn't happen, even if you never make eye contact, you will have lived with more truth, purpose, and connection. That is always true. If this message of hope and divine responsibility spoke to you deeply, please like this video to show that you agree. Your like helps this revelation find other people who want to see it. Share this story with someone you know who is feeling lost and alone. You could be the messenger they've been praying for, and you could help us build a community of explorers with faith. If this story has awakened something in you, if you have realized your own denials, and you are ready to stop blaming and start living responsibly, we have something that can help you go further on this path. Getting in touch with your divine essence. People who are sick of stories that make them victims should read this book. For people who want to find the real power that has always been inside of them, not the power to control other people, but the power to co-create your own reality through deliberate, faith-based choice. Inside, you'll find how to find your own denials and get rid of them, how to awaken your creative consciousness, how to get in touch with your inner wisdom, which goes beyond what other people tell you. You can change yourself and your community by using real tools for personal transformation. If you're ready to stop being alone and take an active role in your own growth, like Victor, you can buy the book in the first comment that's pinned below the video, turn on the bell, and subscribe to the channel. Every week, we bring you stories that push the limits of easy-to-believe stories and show how personal responsibility can empower you instead of paralyze you. Leave a comment and tell us about your denial. Are you ready to stop blaming them and take responsibility for something? I'd love to hear what you think. Become a member or leave a "thank you so much" contribution if you want to support this channel and help these messages reach more people who are ready to awaken. With every bit of help, we can keep planting these seeds. Victor hid an alien for 3 days and found out that the scariest truth wasn't about a plot by the government. It had to do with the mirror. When we look at ourselves in the mirror and decide we don't like what we see, we break the mirror instead of changing where we look. Aliens don't come to Earth because we're like kids who close their eyes and say, "If I can't see it, it doesn't exist." Except that we are all covering our eyes. There are more hands than eyes in the world. And this is what we call normality. Victor tried for 28 years to get the hands off of his students' eyes. He put his hands over his eyes when that didn't work. He shut himself off. He gave up. He had to be shown by a being from a different civilization that had taken off its hands and evolved. It's not about taking off everyone else's hands. Removing the beam from your own eye is the first step. You can't ignore it after you do that. When you really see it, you can't blame anymore. It's time to stop waiting for someone else to fix it. Because you know that you are that person. You've always been. An important mass is not a magic number. The critical mass is reached when enough people stop waiting for it and become it. A retired teacher who wants to teach again. A mother who is worried about her kids' school. A citizen who votes based on their morals instead of what's easiest. 1,000 brave little things. A lot of small truths. There were 1 billion little choices that added up until we didn't need aliens to tell us we were ready anymore. We will be because we are. Then, and only then, they will show up. No, not as saviors. I mean, as neighbors. They are fellow creations who have been waiting for us to grow up enough to have a genuine communion. But for now, the work is ours. We can make a choice. It is our duty to assume responsibility. Because of this, even though it's scary, it's also freeing. Because it means they can't control the future. It's in yours. It's always been that way. In faith, what are you going to do with it?